Hey there, welcome to another one of my bass lesson videos. This one is going to be about vibrato. I actually had a request on one of my other videos to do something about this, and I thought, hey, that's a great idea. So I'm going to talk a little bit about vibrato today and developing a nice, smooth, and relaxed vibrato. Couple of things about establishing vibrato in terms of when to start vibrato. I wouldn't start vibrato with a student until their left hand position is extremely secure and very, very well established. Shifting should be easy and fluid. Typically, students are at least playing up in the fourth or fifth position. Sometimes I've already started on thumb position with them before I start addressing vibrato. I really want to make sure their left hand position is not having any trouble at all. Common things you see, like when people shift back, they'll do this. If they're still doing that, won't start vibrato yet until they can make their shift, keeping their hand position intact. Fingers close up. I don't know. Anything that's insecure about the left hand position has to be fixed before I'm willing to start vibrato with a student. And you'll see the reasons for that as we get on into the video. The number one thing you have to remember about a good vibrato is that it is always relaxed and under control. The most common problem I see with students who try to go off and get vibrato on their own, or who are starting off in vibrato, is that they squeeze onto the instrument and the vibrato is more of a muscle twitch than it is a smooth, relaxed motion. And I think here's the thing that happens. If you know about the muscles in the human body, and you're dealing with like mostly these muscles through here when you're playing an instrument, you don't have a muscle in your entire body that pushes. Muscles can only contract and relax. They can't do the opposite of contract, which is push out. So you have pairs of muscles that control all of your different movements. You have one muscle it's I think a few muscles working together to turn your arm this way. It's an opposite set of muscles that turn your arm this way. If you pull in, it's your bicep pulling in. When you push out, your bicep relaxes. It doesn't push out. What happens instead of your triceps over here, they contract. So you have these contractions and relaxations going opposite from each other. If you want to try, again, taking this motion here, like the bicep versus tricep, if you're going to flex both of your muscles, you're going to end up, and you can experiment with this, your arm is going to start to shake because they're working against each other. You have this muscle pulling this way and this muscle pulling this way, and it gives you this kind of twitchy motion. So when people squeeze down on the instrument and try to vibrato like this, you get this twitch from different muscles. Instead of pulling and relaxing opposite each other, all the muscles are pulling at the same time, and it's twitchy and out of control. That is a very bad vibrato. And I'll tell my students that if that's what your vibrato is, you're better off not to use it. You sound better without vibrato than a vibrato like that. So for instance, on an A, I'm going to have a nice, smooth, and relaxed vibrato. If I'm going to squeeze and get twitchy, that twitchy sound is one I really never enjoy and never want to hear. The vibrato has to be relaxed. So here are some keys to relaxing the vibrato. Number one is soften the thumb. If you're sitting down to play, you're kind of pulling your arm back like this. You're letting your arm hang off the string. It doesn't take any thumb. It's very easy to play without even using your thumb. Very easy to play without even using your thumb. Having your thumb on the neck softly, I think, helps control it a little bit. Under control. As soon as I start to squeeze, I start to speed up uncontrollably and I get twitchy. The thing that I have my students do the very first time they do vibrato is to go really, really slow. I'll tell them, this is so slow, it's stupid. You need to go stupidly slow with your vibrato. This is just to really explore the motion in detail. Go back, come forward. Go back, come forward. This can eventually turn into a very nice vibrato. It's under control. This, you'll never slow it down. It'll never slow down and become a nice vibrato. This, over time, can be sped up into a very nice vibrato. And this is something that develops, I'd say a decent basic vibrato is going to develop over a period of several months. And it's something that you never stop working on. I still work on my vibrato and try to get it under control in different kinds of passages and stuff. You never stop working on it. But the basic motion, I think, 2 to 3 months to let it develop normally and in a relaxed way, starting very, very slow. So eventually you're starting like this. Get to here. Get to here. And get to here. You'll be able to speed it up more if you want it. As fast as I want to go, even up to a fairly fast vibrato, the key to it is always under control. So you noticed I was able to speed my vibrato up smoothly and go the speed that I wanted to, and then I'd be able to slow it down again. So for instance, I'll demonstrate that again. I'll start really slow, get kind of fast, and then slow down again. What I want you to notice is that it's always the speed that I want it to, and I'm never going to jump into the twitchy state. And that's a really excellent exercise to do. And whenever you find yourself getting this, immediately stop. The moment you find yourself squeezing and getting twitchy, stop right away. Get it back under control. I think that's maybe the most important thing you can do for developing your vibrato. Now here's the thing about the hand position. You see me up here, my fingers are kind of bunched together a little bit, and that makes it a little bit easier for me to get that motion, especially if I'm going to be on that note for a long time. So the thing is, if you're going to have to bring your fingers together a little bit, how quickly, easily, and accurately, when you need to play a B, are you back to a normal playing position, right? Someone whose hand position isn't well developed is going to do this, and they're going to play a B right here. It's going to be way out of tune. It's really important that the hand position is firmly developed, very comfortable, that you can leave it and come back to it right away without any kind of concentration or having to think too hard about it. That's what's so important about having the hand position firmly established. Fourth finger. Fourth finger is a difficult vibrato finger. And there's a couple of things I'm going to show you about getting your fourth finger to vibrato well. First thing is to have all fingers down and vibrato your fourth finger doesn't work too well. I mean, you can get a little bit of something on it, but if you've got a long lyrical note that needs a nice vibrato, then this just isn't going to work most of the time. If you do have to do the fourth finger with all your fingers in position, make sure that you have released your first finger, that you're not having much pressure on this first and second finger so they can kind of slide across the string a little bit. If I'm squeezing with all four fingers, this becomes very hard to do. The thing that you have to do to get a wide, slow vibrato on the fourth finger is you really have to mess up your hand position. Third and fourth finger come together. You never want your pinky finger alone. It's not strong enough. These two fingers will lift up. Now, I have a little hard time here. So the thing I have to do is with my thumb, I'm going to turn this sideways so you can see. If you imagine a line between your thumb and your vibrato fingers over here, this is a diagonal line that cuts through a lot of the neck. It's very hard to vibrato well if this is your axis of rotation. So what you do is you bring your thumb down behind your third and fourth finger, and then it's much easier to get this vibrato motion. Compared to the thumb up over here, that's a lot harder to do. So I bring my third and fourth fingers together, slide my thumb down behind them. Oops. and then I can have a nice relaxed vibrato with my fourth finger. The key to this again is that you have to very confidently go back to a regular hand position after you've messed it up so badly to do this vibrato, to get back to a regular hand position quickly and accurately. A word about vibrato in this area. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this, but this particular area up here in the fifth or so position gives people a lot of trouble. It becomes very tight, especially say you're over on the D string. I found the key to this, and I talked about down here, that you want your thumb on the back of the neck, but soft, definitely not squeezing. Up here, you definitely have to release it to get a good fourth finger vibrato, or even a second finger up here. Like say on an F natural. It's hard to do with your thumb back here. If you bring your thumb to the side, it's a whole lot easier with my fourth finger. See, that means to reach the fourth finger with the thumb around here in the back, hard to do. Bring the thumb out. And now I can get that even on the D string. With the thumb back here, that's virtually impossible. You've got to bring your thumb out to be able to get that. Thumb position. Just a hair about the thumb position. So on an A. Wrist is bent. And the best explanation I ever got for this one is that the wrist acts kind of like a pendulum. The more you bend the wrist, the slower you can get your vibrato to go. Useful exercise for this, because a lot of times students have a really hard time with this one. They'll straighten the wrist and try to do this twisting motion, which is kind of how you do the lower register vibrato. But that twisting thing doesn't work in thumb position. The wrist comes up and swings back and forth. Something you can do is take your bow, elbow, finger. And your elbow and finger are kind of like a line that the wrist rotates around. So if you practice the motion like this, rotating around the imaginary line between the tip of your finger and your elbow, with the wrist kind of as a pendulum swinging back and forth, there's the thumb position vibrato motion. So here on an A, B flat, third finger B, or if you needed a C, right? Now, if you notice, I went up to a C, I had to bring my shoulder forward a little bit so that I could get that bend on my wrist to get a good pendulum sort of motion going on. I've had to release my thumb to do it. So again, my hand position has to be very firmly established. So I'm going to go up in vibrato on this C and say I got an A coming up. I've got to be able to get back quickly to a good hand position. I'm going to make a cut here. I'm going to come back in just a second, and I'm going to cut over to standing bass position. So I'm seated right now, and you have this thing where you can just relax your arm and hang down. There's a couple of things that are, I think, worth mentioning specifically for standing up. So I'm going to cut real quick, and I'm going to come back and talk about standing up for just a moment, and then we'll wrap it up. All right, so just a couple of quick things about getting the relaxed approach to vibrato while you're standing. It is a little bit different than sitting in terms of the way that you have to lean the instrument and getting the thumb to relax. So again, just taking the A for example, if I don't have the instrument leaning forward with that equilibrium, and if you need to see about this, you can click over to my series on holding the instrument while standing up, and establishing the equilibrium between the bass and the bow, so that you're really holding the instrument a little forward against the bow, and that's where you're getting the weight. When you put your finger in, you want to lean a little bit forward again, so that you could, if you wanted to, play a note without using your thumb. And now I can get that relaxed vibrato. If you've got this position where you're leaning the bass back on your thumb, all you're doing is squeezing. There's so much pressure on your thumb that you're holding the instrument with it. You're not going to be able to get that vibrato. Make sure that you've got the instrument leaning forward. You've got the thumb soft, that it's not supporting the instrument. Slow and relaxed vibrato. Same thing with the thumb, as you see me walking up the instrument a little bit with my thumb. Kind of behind the first finger. moving a little behind the second, moving up behind the third and fourth, coming up into this area of the instrument. Again, just like sitting down, you've got to release your thumb, so you want to lean the instrument forward. Going into thumb position, again, you can look at the video on standing for thumb position. I'm going to bring the instrument back here, and now it becomes much more like sitting down to do the vibrato. And I've got the tip of the finger and the elbow making the line with the pendulum. So in terms of standing and sitting in thumb position, they're about the same. So I think that's what I have to say about vibrato for today. Just make sure it's relaxed, more important than any other thing, and make sure that your hand position is really well established, because you will be kind of messing with it a little bit, and you've got to be able to come quickly and easily back to a really good and well-formed hand position to have the vibrato correct. So hopefully this has been helpful to you. If you liked this video, if it was helpful for you, please give it a thumbs up, leave me a comment, subscribe to my channel. Thank you so much.